under the authority of Mr. President, Chairman of Council, for us to have a 1-minute silence for 2 members of council we lost recently, Mr. Herbert Wigwe, the Group Managing Director of Access Holdings, Nigerian PLC, and Mrs. Odema Akirele, the COO of Alaro City, and also Mr. Bimbo Ogunbanjo, a friend of the chamber. Could you rise up and say a 1-minute prayer, silent prayer for them, for the repose of their souls? May their kind souls rest in peace, and may their legacies be preserved. Amen. May we have our seats, please. On that very somber note, I would like to start this meeting. Good morning again, everyone. My name is Tajuddin Ahmed, and I'm the chairman of the Programs Committee of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, NBCC. I'm pleased to welcome you all, physical and virtual attendees, to this February 2024 Breakfast Meeting Next Generation Series event themed Transforming a Manufacturing Business. I'm particularly delighted to see our council and ESCO members, our distinguished speaker, Mr. George Onafowokan, the moderator, Mr. Babajide Benson, and all our esteemed guests. Please rise as we observe the Nigerian and British national anthems. May we rise, please. Thank you, NBCC Media. May you have our seats. As we sang the national anthem of Britain, I could see a British citizen. I won't mention her name. She sang the national anthem with some verve and vigor. I won't mention her name. I won't maintain eye contact too. Okay, without much ado, I would like to invite the leader of the chamber, Mr. President, Chairman of Council, Mr. Ray Atele, FRPA, to come give us his opening remarks. Mr. President, may we clap for our president, please?
Good morning. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a beautiful Thursday morning, but we are still in that mood. We've not fully recovered. Our friends who lost their lives, people we won't get to see again. So in that mood, we continue, but life goes on. We need to work and continue to do what we do so that their legacies can be preserved. And so we have them in our thoughts and prayers, even as we continue. Life must go on. Good morning once again. Let's do the protocols. The deputy presidents, they are here in full force. Members of council, members of ESCO here present, our distinguished guest speaker, other guests who are here. We are delighted to have you join us this morning. It is not often that we gather to share experiences, but when we do, we want to ensure that the aim of starting this series is maintained and we achieve our objectives. I will say a few words before I get to the prepared speech. Every generation can be forgiven for thinking that they are the best thing that ever happened to mankind. Indeed, there is an unspoken generational rivalry that transcends faith, tribe, or color across many homes, including yours as we speak. The father thinks highly of his very well-educated son, but believes him to be a lesser version of himself, often focusing on his foibles and reaching less edifying conclusions on account of the younger man's occasional indiscretions. But truth be told, whether you like it or not, call them wise, call them fool, the next generation will surely take over from you someday. The wise course of action, therefore, will be to accept the fact that you cannot live forever and start grooming a successor before it's too late. The clock is ticking. You just have to trust the process and believe that it won't be a disaster at the end when you transfer authority to a successor, son or daughter or a protege. Mistakes will be made, no doubt, expensive mistakes. But at the end, lessons will be learned. Costs will be corrected. And the doom you feared may happen will never happen. Just trust the process, as risky as this may sound. Through our Next Generation series, we put on the front burner the importance of succession planning and highlight the success stories that we can easily relate with here in this country. For we do have our own success stories. Today we shall be sharing experiences with a young man who took the reins in a manufacturing concern and has not just kept it alive, which for many is a success on its own. But in spite of the numerous headwinds facing the manufacturing industry in this country, he's gone a step further to transform the business and exceeded all expectations. His experiences, how he overcame challenges and how he silenced doubters will be a delightful conversation that we are going to have this morning. Mr. George Onafowokan is almost a young veteran already in the manufacturing sector today. But make no mistake about the enormity of challenges he had to face and navigate to get here. as we share real life experiences, growth happens in all of us listening. Then we will take away some learnings through this interaction, which will bolster confidence of anyone who may be having nightmares about handing over their prized businesses to a successor they do not trust completely. The next generation is not the future. They are the strength, the dexterity, and the restless spirit that drives innovation today. They bring in new thinking, infuse technology, and are more globally aware of industry trends and could impact product development and profitability in ways that the founders never imagined. Perhaps in retaliation, they equally think that they are better than their dads. That's the unending rivalry we talked about. I thank you all for being part of this event today. The Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, we've been doing this for over 4 decades. We are the foremost bilateral chamber of commerce in this country, and we are members of the British Chamber of Commerce as well. Through the numerous programs that we organize, we try to pass on learnings that keep the business of this country going. What we learn in school, yes, we retain. But what we learn at platforms like this, it never leaves us. We implement in the various ways in our own businesses. And I tell you that when you participate more actively, you are going to learn a thing or two that will be a turning point in your own business and your life. So we've gathered not just to watch and admire, let us learn and add to our repertoire of knowledge. Thank you once again, and enjoy your morning.
Thank you, Mr. President and Chairman of Council. May we give another resounding applause to our President? As usual, that was a profound statement from our President to kickstart the session. Now, before we begin, please allow me to state some housekeeping guidelines. For our physical attendees, questions will be answered during the Q&A session. Please raise your hands and the microphone will be brought to you. For those joining us through the virtual mode, if the volume is too low, kindly check the volume of your gadget, your system, etc. This event is being recorded and will be available live on our YouTube channel, Nigerian- or hyphen, as the case might be, British Chamber of Commerce, NBCC. For questions, comments, and discussions, use the chat icon. And for posts on social media, kindly use the hashtag NBCC Next Gen Series 24. NBCC in caps, the first N in next in capital letter, the G in gen in capital letter, the S in series, the first S in capital letter, and numeral 24. Thank you for listening. Before I introduce our guest speaker today, George Onafowokan, as I was coming to the venue, something just struck me about the connectivity amongst the 4 sponsors of today's event. Just last Monday, we had our real estate outlook for 2024. That's chaired by the Construction and Real Estate Group, led by Reverend Akim Oguniro. Mr. President was there too, as well as Deputy President 1 and 2. So we have Coleman Technical Industries as the first sponsor, and the CEO is going to be our guest speaker today. Now, if you're familiar with the construction site, either for dwelling places or industrial use, cabling is a very important part of construction. In fact, it's even much more important now that some fire outbreaks have been attributed to the fact that there was fake cabling of the property. So you have Coleman Technical Services, makers of Coleman cables and wires, as your sure plug, as the Gen Z will say, sure plug for cabling. So we go again to Burger Paints, Nigerian PLC. Now, when the building stands, the next thing you want to do after plastering is to get a good coated paint for the building. So our second sponsors, Burger Paints, Nigerian PLC, a company that has been here since 1964. I'm aware they started operations in January 1959. They will be your sure plug to paint your property. Our third sponsors, Page Financial Services Group, is a mobile bank. So we all know that in construction sites, we have our artisans, you have your plumbers, you have your bricklayers, you have the pan carriers. They get paid on a daily basis. It used to be 1,000, 2,000. I'm sure it's, with inflation rates and all of that, now it might be 5,000 on a daily basis. So in a digital world, you're going to pay your staff, the artisans, via Page Financial Services. Very easy, just do a transfer. And finally, you have Right Foods Nigeria Limited. At construction sites, you take agege bread, you take ewa agoin, you take fufu, amala, eba, and the rest. What of the better way of just putting down the entire solid you've taken to the alimentary canal, to the alimentary canal, than to use Biggie products of Right Foods PLC. May we give our four sponsors another resounding round of applause for their connectivity. Whether by divine providence or as the Spirit directed, those four sponsors are very, very well connected, and they are sure plugs for different sectors. Now let me do my bit of introducing George, a man I say both in physical terms, in intellectual terms, and the size of his bank account is a big man. Let me introduce briefly, as much as I can, Mr. George, my friend, my brother, George Olutope Onafowokan, Managing Director, Coleman Technical Industries Limited. Mr. George Olutope Onafowokan, a distinguished professional and accomplished entrepreneur, currently serves as the Managing Director, CEO of Coleman Technical Industries Limited, a renowned manufacturer of Coleman wires and cables. In addition to this pivotal role at Coleman Technical Industries Limited, George holds the esteemed position of Chairman of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, Ogun State Chapter. A qualified accountant, we're always wired that way, Mr. Onafowokan earned a combined bachelor's degree in accounting and finance from Manchester Metropolitan University, Manchester, United Kingdom. He furthered his academic pursuits by obtaining a master's degree in management and information systems combined from the University of Salford in the United Kingdom. So George revolved around the Manchester area for both his first degree and his second degree. Salford is just at the other end of Manchester City. In 2002, Mr. Onafowokan returned to Nigeria, his home country, to spearhead the comprehensive restructuring of Coleman Technical Industries Limited. And under his astute leadership, the company witnessed an extraordinary transformation, with assets growing from a mere 50 million in 2002 to an impressive 200 billion by the close of business in 2022. Demonstrating a commitment to innovation, Mr. George Onafowokan propelled Coleman Technical Industries to the forefront of the cable manufacturing industry. The company achieved significant milestones by introducing groundbreaking products such as coaxial, TV, video, and Cat5, Cat6 cables, pioneering advancements in Nigeria and West Africa. Furthermore, Mr. Onafowokan elevated the company's profile by establishing the first high-voltage XLPE cable production plant in West Africa, positioning Nigeria as the sixth country for production in Africa. Not content with past achievements, Mr. George Onafowokan continued to expand Coleman Technical Industries' portfolio. In 2021, he successfully launched EPR Factory, marking a significant milestone as the first in-country facility of its kind in Nigeria and only the second in the whole of Africa. Will we give him another round of applause for that feat? In 2022, George further advanced the company's capabilities with the establishment of a fiber optic cable manufacturing facility. In addition to his corporate accomplishment, Mr. George Onafowokan is a distinguished motivational speaker, business analyst, and seasoned entrepreneur. He's a different motivational speaker because he's not a motivational speaker because he's seen it, he's done it, and he's proven himself with experience, not from the books. His passion for the Nigerian dream is evident in his commitment to mentoring and fostering the growth of numerous small and medium enterprises, SMEs. Through his wealth of knowledge and leadership, George continues to contribute significantly to the advancement of both the business landscape and the aspirations of aspiring entrepreneurs in Nigeria. In conclusion, Mr. George Olutope Onafowokan's remarkable journey from his academic pursuits in Manchester and the United Kingdom to his transformative leadership at Coleman Technical Services Limited underscores his unwavering dedication to excellence, innovation, and the economic development of Nigeria. May I have the honor to invite my brother friend, big in size, big in intellect, big in effect, and big in his bank account, George Olutope Onafowokan, to come and make his presentation.
Good morning, Mr. President. If you would not mind, if I could rest on all protocols duly observed, ladies and gentlemen, and the good people of the press. I must appreciate NBCC for this. I feel highly honored. I think my dear friend has been calling me about it since the end of last year. And it made me look more into NBCC again anyway. And mighty pleased to be here and to also see some of my dear brothers on the table here. So I'm sure after this we'll be having another discussion. So really. So I'm just going to go give a brief about Coleman. I think today, for me, this type of sessions is really more about sharing. And I believe we need to share our experiences to be able to let those behind us or those before us even to understand us more and to understand where our businesses can grow and how they can be sustained, especially for the younger ones. And I'll still use that. I'm still a young man, so I don't know which part of the younger ones I'm going to take, but I'll take his word. I'll attach myself to that young feeling. Okay, so this is just going to be a quick brief about Coleman and our history and what we've done over the years. Right, so I'm just going to give you a brief history of the company in 2 slides, and then we'll go through the pictures. I'm trying to go and finish it within 10 minutes, of which I've been given. We put this slide in place just to give you an idea of a brief of the history of the business and how it actually went through before we talk about. So the business actually, by next year will be 50 years. It was actually registered and started in 1975. But we went into the manufacturing. And so the previous idea for Coleman Technical Industries was to actually go into the production of Coleman coolers. For those old enough to know what Coleman cooler is, we were traders. My father was a trader and importer of Coleman coolers, and he wanted to go into manufacturing Coleman coolers. That's what created the Coleman name in the first place. But unfortunately, with everything you're importing, your partner is a good partner until he sees you really want to take the business away from them and put it localizing. So they walked away. But it didn't stop them continuing the trading while they looked at other opportunities of what industry will come in. So by 1996, they moved from a trading company of cables to a manufacturer of cables in 1996. Now, I use 1996 because a lot of people don't actually know Coleman actually started off in Ikoton. They always see us on the express road and believe that's where we actually started. So we actually started in Ikoton. It's a 200 square meters factory, which was actually an hotel conversion into a factory. And with the purpose of the remaining side of the building, they had about another 2,000 square meters to work with to actually make the factory, but that never happened. Now, 200 square meters, 100 kVA capacity utilization in power use. By 2001, when we actually came in then to start dealing with them from the UK. And at that point, it was actually in a negative balance sheet. We had so I'm a second MD. So we had a bit of a bad fall at the beginning. So we were in a negative balance sheet position when I took over. And unfortunately, when you take over a business, when it's flatlined, and it's good. But when you take over a negative balance sheet, you're dealing with debt you don't know. And after verifying the debt, it's a continuum. So you have to pay back people for what you did not actually take on. So my first task was to actually take them from a negative to zero and take no working capital. So you need to shave off a lot of things when you do things like that. Status does not come when you don't have money. You know, we get status into our head. I used to be the one going to Alaba myself. I was a sales manager, accounts officer, everything you could think about, I literally took on that job. And we had no working capital. So I need to convince you to give me 300K or 500K. Inside your deposit, I use it to buy raw material and produce and give you your goods. That's how we restarted. Zero working capital, because they have maxed out their working capital position and they were in negative balance sheet. And the first thing I learned in banking was overage. The first month, their 5 million overdraft took into negative on my first month. I got a call from the bank and said, "Oh, guy, you're in overage." I said, "What is that?" He said, "Your account has just, interest has dropped. It's taking it into more negative. You need to bring it back." So it took us 6 months. And within that 6 months, we took the business to stability. What my priority was salaries. So I paid all the junior workers and paid all the senior workers 50% and 50% of the 15th day of the month. 6 months down the line, we stabilized working capital, stabilized the business, and paid everybody on the same day. On that day, I paid myself for the first time. And you would wonder what you do after 6 months of seeing that. The only prayer I prayed to God on the day I paid was one thing: not money. From this day on, any business I own, have, or enter into, if I'm not going to pay salary, take it away from me. I don't want it. Until today, I've not paid salary. So you must have purpose. And those are the things that actually drove us and drove my own direction. So now, this tells you the expansion then went on. 2001, we did that. We got it stabilized. By 2003, we expanded the business to about 2,000 square meters, of which we then were using 500 kVA in power. By 2009, we then moved to Arepo, which then became the biggest cable factory in West Africa as of that day. And it was 20,000 square meters. It was a big jump. I think for the banks, everybody, how do you jump from 2,000 to 20,000? It was a matter. But if you want to break barriers, the day you're going to break barriers is either you're tilting on bankruptcy or tilting on success. One of it will happen. You cannot break barriers the easy way. It doesn't happen. Anybody that you see is successful has done something at their point in their life where they had to make one business decision that was a make or break. And if it works well for you, if you don't take that decision, you never take the success doesn't become success that everybody notices. It's only success if literally everybody notices. And that is your crossing barrier. And that for me was my own crossing barrier, 2009. And 2 years in between it, we did that project. Now, 2014, expanded again. Now, we've moved to 100,000 square meters, 5,000 kVA. By 2022, 500,000 square meters, 16 megawatts. And that tells you you need to be propelling vision ahead of your time. And that's the key thing. It's not about today, it's about tomorrow, it's about getting things done. And I'll give you something on that map that I didn't put on there on purpose. 1996, ignore that. 2001, we started. First car was a Honda Baby American spec, accident, write-off. They don't tell you that part until you bought it. Anyway, but that was the first car. It wasn't, I need to put that in because we need to also learn the value of what grows your business and what doesn't. 2001, first car. 2003, first official car. KYRAM's 8.3 million. I can remember because I negotiate all this things myself. 8.3 million Pajero. Brand new, took it on a lease, 3 years. Next car did not happen till 2009. At this point, you've taken the value of a billion naira business to 15 billion. GL 500, I won't buy Mercedes again, but GL 500, and that was it. Fine, I'm okay with that. And taking that from 2009, actually it happened at 2012, 11, 12. The next car was 2019, valuation 200 billion thereabout. No car till today changed. So how many cars? 4 cars, official cars. But you've taken your business from minus 20 to 250 billion. It's not about the diminishing assets. It is what you grow that creates legacy. And it's what you grow that creates legacy that literally allows you to retire and use the word, I can live without literally having anything that you don't want. So it gives you that comfort. Quick warning to the business. Next slide. Okay, so that just tells you what from 1975, 1996, what I've just explained a bit about what we did, what new products we started doing. With each year we were actually moving in terms of steps of direction. And 2, you must, as a business, know where you want to be in 10 years' time. First rule book I tell anybody, SME small. We started as micro small. I met one machine, and business was dead. But it's not, it's about, first and foremost, where do you want to be in 10 years' time? I always ask everybody I mentor, go back and come back with that answer. If you don't know the answer, you're not in that business. Please get out. You must get out. If you even working alone where you work, if you don't know where you're going to be in that position, in 10 years' time, that is not your job. Because it doesn't give you the staying power. The day you know the answer of your 10-year strategy is the day you stay where you're going, and you know where you're going. And for me, on the first year of being in the business, I knew where we were going to be in 10 years' time. And we achieved it at year 7. And by year 7, companies that were 40 years older than us were smaller than us in 7 years. And in 20 years, we've topped the continent. So it is not impossible. And it's not about who you are, who your father's name is. It is what you do. And the biggest thing you have is your staying power to actually be in business. So XLP is explained all that, fiber optics. We're an investment grade company. So we saw our future that, look, where next? Where do we get the funding and how do we stand out? You can be a private sector, family run business and still actually be able to actualize that growth and be able to put yourself in a standing. And we opened up our books. Today we've been able to raise over 66 billion in the market, and we paid back, we're at series 12, 11, 12 now. We paid back series 1 to 9. I think 10 is next month. And we're oversubscribed at each position because you're doing something right that the market actually wants to see and wants to be part of. And we take it as a cognizance that you must be able to do a lot better than the expectation of the market. So we're already our own worst enemy by trying to see how best we can do. Second slide, I'm trying to flip through quite a few slides so that I can, next slide. Okay, so this just gives you a notable fact about what we've achieved now. Now we've been able to become the largest cable company in sub-Saharan Africa. Technically, by the end of this year, we're the largest cable company in Africa by capacity, size, and aiming for the rest of it anyway. Over the years, what we've built, assets, indigenously owned company, and it's family-run business, as I said. But it's a family-run business with a different bit of a twist. Now, I said earlier about negative balance sheet. We ran it well. And what my chairman used to, it comes every Tuesday. Now it still comes every Tuesday. He's my very expensive consultant, and he's my father, so I've kept him on the board. I call him my public sector manager. I don't like public sector, but that man is good at it. He has so many friends in that sector. So in terms of that, but what he's done in succession planning for him, and that's one key part that we should also note, is that after 3-4 years, but exact date, 2007, we're taking this business from negative balance sheet, and at that time I think we're sitting at over 2 billion in assets. And one day he walked into my office. Me, I don't talk about what he owns. I don't really care. I've never asked, and I've never borrowed from him. So one day he sits in my office and said to me, we shared the office, because I was an Ijebu man when I came in. I didn't want to build him an office. So I told him, you either share it or stay in your own head office. Take one. So he started sharing my office. He loved it so much, he went to ask my senior brother, can he come and take his office so he can share too? That one said no. But you had to be transparent for you to want to do that. And I didn't have anything to hide. And he gave me a free hand. And so one day he sat in front of me and said to me, George, it's time you buy me out. And we've never discussed this. And he said, I've seen the way you have taken care of me. I don't think you will change. So let me cash out now. You will still continue to do it. So, and I said for the first time, so how much do you want? He said, par plus 50%. For those that understand that you're looking at negative balance sheet and this man is asking me for par plus 50%. I said, you know that's value plus 50%? He said, yes, now. And I said to him, okay, this doesn't make sense to me. I'm your son. I said, leave that matter. This is business. But he taught us to be business people first before we are family. So we separate ourselves from that. And I said, okay, fine, fair enough. It's a good deal. Myself and my brother who works with me will buy and we'll take ownership. And he did. But the money was so much. I said, I can't pay you in one go. He said, no problem. Pay me as you like. And in those days, checks clear in 4 or 5 days. I gave him 3 percentage check over a period of 2 months. Do you know what this man did? Until one check clears, he waits. Because his company is going to deduct. So my first 3 certificates was 3 certificates based on the post-dated check. Even the one I said that I paid up front. He said it's business. And I understand that, and that's how we were trained. There's a separation between the personal and the business. It's a very clear line. None of us could go to any of his business and take anything on credit. My father came, so he couldn't even do that. So they were clear guidelines. And the big advantage of that is that it was a change for the better, because I was 1 year away from leaving. I had taken his business to a good level. I had my own money. I could leave. But that was the next line of succession that he did in his lifetime that worked. And it meant, but his argument was fair also. He said, have you heard of anybody buy a share for 50 kobo? It becomes 10 naira. Would he sell it for 50? So you turned it into a 10 naira share now. So I'm selling. And I'm cashing out. And he's been my chairman. Today he owns 1% of the shareholding. He's still my chairman. And he still enjoys even more the benefit than even when he was not the majority shareholder. And that just tells you it's not about, the legacy was not about me or him. It was what did we make the legacy as a name. Because his own viewpoint was that in his early days, what you saw with people was that they go out. And when they go out, they either saving money in stocks, building houses, or businesses. Said he decided, let me build businesses and create a legacy. That the name of the business continues beyond its own name. Said the property can be sold, and it's gone. But the name of a business stays forever. And he used Hilton, the Guinnesses as an example. And that is the basis of the growth. And as I said, this just gives you an overview of the business. Product, next slide. So we make single cables, flexible cord cables, coaxial cables, medium voltage and high voltage, first for sub-Saharan Africa. Now, the middle block, I'll call them the middle block, West Africa, Central Africa, and East Africa. That's where investment don't happen. The North, close to Europe, get more money. The South Africans, I say before 1994, got a lot of support, and still do. But in the middle, we struggle, because that's unfortunately where the majority blacks are. And that is where the struggle of investment is. Because every black man or woman is a risk. In financial system, you're a bigger risk than the guy that is white. I still don't understand why the concept of black and white, why we happen to be black are the bad guys, but it's unfortunate. It transcends you. And that means everywhere you go, everybody's expecting you to fail. And so do not assume they must do you good. You must assume that in their head, they're already built to assume that you're going to fail. And you must then have to believe that you must break the barrier of that failure to take it to the next step. If you don't, you're going to be the same statistics. And don't really blame the banks in Nigeria. Everybody likes blaming banks in Nigeria. But I said, look, take it the same way I asked my chairman one day when he says, all these banks, girls give Indians and Lebanese money and the rest of Oyibo's money. I said, no, don't blame them. I'm going to ask you a simple question. You've been in business for more than 50, 60 years. He said, yes. Now, my simple question is this. It's a risk question. How many, you know friends that have taken money? He said, yes. Borrowed money? Yes. I said, how many of them, the day they borrowed that money? I didn't say after. The day they borrowed, did you do one or two of the, or three of these things? And that basically meant, what I asked him was very simple. They didn't buy a car. That has nothing to do with the business. Build a house, marry second or third wives, divert into something else. Immediately I asked that question, this man sighed. He couldn't answer. Then I said 5%, 10, 15, 20. At 20, he grabbed it. I said, you're now telling me as a risk officer, 8 out of 10 will fail. If you, in 60 years, have seen them do one of the following, so how would you blame the banks? I said, it's the same Nigerians are there. So if you can see that, do you think they're not seeing it? So we have to break barriers, because the assumption is that we're coming to fail. So go there, don't assume, and don't feel entitled because I know him, I know her, I must do it. It's not. We must change our mindset. So product line, I'm going to flip the last 2-3 pages. Competitive landscape just shows that we're only comparable in Africa to a company called El Swedi in Egypt, who technically by the end of the year will take them out as #1 because of our capacity, and they'll be #2. Every other one really doesn't compare. And in terms of our factories, you can just see a picture. Next slide, Areco plant. This was where we started off with only 20,000 square meters. It's moved up to about 50,000 square meters now. We bought literally almost everything around us and still trying to buy as much as we can. And the Shagamu plant, next slide. This is our Shagamu plant. This started off as 100 acres. Now it's over, at the moment, it's sitting at about 400,000 square meters, and it's using 16 megawatts on its own. And this is our last new project that we're doing now. This is the Shagamu 5 project, which I highlighted is going to be the single biggest fiber optic plant in the continent on its own. It's a 9 million fiber count. It can serve half of Africa on its own. And this will be completed sometimes Q3 of this year. So this is a big game changer even for the industry. Although we already have the second biggest plant, now we're going to have one plant that is literally the biggest in the continent on its own. It's 24,000 square meters factory, and it's basically going to serve most of Africa from here. And we're already doing some work for some of the telcos, and that gives you. So I'm going to move to allow us to go back into our questions and answers, or basically to discuss with the moderator. Thank you very much.
May we give Mr. George Onafowokan a round of applause for that profound expository presentation. And I can assure you that that's just the tip of the iceberg. He's still going to go through the crossfire at the fireside chat with the moderator and at the Q&A session. That is just a tip of the iceberg. Now, before we go ahead to bring the moderator to start his job, may we have the videos of our sponsors, Coleman Technical Services first, then Burger Paint Nigerian PLC second.
Coleman quality, wires and cables are. Coleman come light up your life. Oh. Coleman want to light up your house. Oh. Coleman want to give you better. Coleman extraordinary wonder. Coleman cables be baba. Coleman wires be baba. Coleman quality, Coleman durable, Coleman capable. Coleman cables be baba. Coleman wires be baba. Coleman quality, Coleman durable, Coleman capable. Everybody, all man see. Coleman wires wonder things. Brother, sister, uncle, auntie, go get your own. Coleman wires confirm. Coleman cables confirm. Coleman quality, Coleman durable, Coleman capable. Now confirm. Coleman wires confirm. Coleman cables confirm. Coleman quality, Coleman durable, Coleman capable. Now confirm. Coleman cables be baba.
Coleman Wires and Cable.
Let's appreciate our sponsors, Burger Paints Nigeria PLC. They've been here for 64 years, from January 1959. So the next part of the program is the meat of the event. I won't belabor you with the rehash of the profile of our moderator, but I'll just invite him upstage to come and take charge. He owns the next two sessions, and he's got to earn his pay, for doing that. May I invite Mr. Babajide Benson, Executive Director, Communications, Advisory Strategy and Training, to come do his job. Jide, please. And may I invite a guest speaker also to come and face the fire.
Thank you very much. First of all, you're not facing any fire. Don't mind. Don't let anybody share by. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fireside chat of the Next Gen series of the Nigeria-British Chamber of Commerce. We're talking with somebody you've listened to. But I would like to begin from... Do you want to grab the mic, please? Yes. Your profile started with your academic background. You schooled in Manchester. And it also ended with Manchester. So I want to find out, which of the Manchesters do you support? Manchester United or Man City? And please don't tell me you don't support any one of them, because this issue will come to an end immediately. So you don't support Manchester?
No.
Oh my God.
Partially, I'll say my support goes for Manchester City. But my main support goes for Arsenal.
Your support goes for?
Arsenal.
Look at them. All right. So the meat of this. First of all, quote of the day. Status does not come when you don't have money. I hope that many of us noted that. He talked about when he used to go to Alaba by himself. And a mistake that many of us small business owners make is when we make the first millions, we're already thinking of the SUV to buy and to change our status. So status does not come when you do not have money. If you didn't take away anything, I think every one of us should take that away. All right. You transformed the business. You are the darling of your industry. You've been able to command presence. You've moved from millions to billions. What I mean, first of all, how did your dad get you on board? Because family businesses, I mean, succession is a major issue in Nigeria. We've talked about it time and again. It's a discussion in many business schools, carrying a business from one generation to another. I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong, if there's any business that has gone on to the 4th generation. So how did your dad get you on board, first of all? By trick, wisdom, happenstance? Please tell us that.
I think it started early. For us, he made sure during the time you were in school, you actually did part of it. And one rule book he had was, look, you need to learn to be a follower before you become a leader. So you can never come to his office and you'll be a manager. You'll be in his office, they'll tell you, pick any of his 9 companies, pick any department you like, or you're an officer. So which means there'll be a manager or some supervisor ahead of you who would very happily send you as many errands as you can imagine, and won't be tied you not to even obey the guy. So it humbled you, and for me, I think that's where I loved started liking what I did. I looked at the accounting department, and that's where I started working. And it's not accounts of today, where everything is on a computer. It's a ledger book that is, and you're there posting being expenses of 50 kobo to Mushi, transport to this, and your biro, you and your big biro is an all-day affair. And that's what I did. And it's your biro, your ledger book, and a Tipex, because you're going to make some errors anyway, whether you like it or not. And that was the basic starting point for me. And he encouraged that with everybody, not only me, all the students that wanted to. And you got paid, actually. So don't be late to work. And that man is very early to work. So if you miss it, we lived in GRA Kenya. He didn't care. Don't get to his office late. So if you miss his vehicle, go and jump in that bus and get there as quickly. And I had that experience, so I actually didn't mind. So I'll be jumping out onto Agege Motor Road, getting a bus at Shogunle, boom, on to Oshodi, Mushin, get down a challenge and go to Matori. I walked because I know I missed this car. Okay. And if by 8 o'clock start, he doesn't see you, you know you're going to be in trouble. So how you get there, he didn't ask, but you got there because he's paying you every month. Okay. So those were first instances of planning, because it made all of us understand his business, understand what he does. Okay. And it also allowed us to know what we want to do in life. And that was my own direction. And by the time it was getting to him asking, we were actually business partners. It was my client. So from the UK, I had started a company called Gem International in 1999. And I sold materials. I was selling materials and financing materials for most companies that, you know, in those days, dollar line was not easy to get. And people didn't have the credit. So what we were offering was offering them the import solution from there. And it was one of my clients. So Coleman was actually a client. And so he was buying from us since 1999 raw materials. And by the time I decided it's time to come to Nigeria, because all the clients I was chasing were the cable companies. And one of them one day sat me down and said, you know what, this one that you keep going back and forth, you will not make any money if you keep doing this. If you want to, you better stay in Nigeria and do this business. Okay. So, and we came. Then he asked. It took him time to ask me because I wasn't interested. And sincerely, I wasn't interested. Okay. Because I wanted to build my own business. And one day he sat me down and said, can you be the MD? Not knowing he had even made me MD 2 years before coming. And he didn't tell me. Okay. So, and because I was quiet, I didn't ask him about his businesses anyway. So, and he asked, and I said, you can't pay me. He said, I know. But he said, please just let me look at it. And I looked, I went there, I saw too many problems. And sincerely, I was not interested, because when I saw the negative balance sheet, that was even more of a turn off than anything. And I looked at it, this place is in Ipotun, head office is in Matu. Why would this man, he doesn't like really now offering me this Ipotun rubbish? That's the way I looked at it, the place was done. But it was not the conception. Perception is one thing. And by the time I went there, I said, okay, let me even see if I can try. And I saw the problems. So the first 3 months was really managing their problems. It wasn't about the money. But on the 3rd month, and that's what changed it for me, he had $250,000 of my goods of raw materials with him that I was using his warehouse to sell. And I woke up one day, like, you know, when sometimes you have to believe also in the spirit of God with you. And I woke up that day and what I saw was that company was going down. And they were going to go down. And if they go down, he was going to use my goods to cater for his debt. And I can't fight my father if he does that. But it will be me, my British partner, and my South African partner that will be at loss, and my credibility. So on that day, I woke up, called my wife, and said to her, the next 2 years of your life is going to be extremely difficult. It's going to take us three years to fix this. Called my business partner, it will take you all 3 years. But 2 years, you'll see hell. But on the 3rd year, I promise both of you, you'll smile. And sincerely, on the 2nd year end, my business partner called me aside and said, if this your 3-year strategy doesn't work, buy me out, because I have never suffered like this before. My wife literally, I felt sorry for her. And sincerely, on the 3rd year, I was dead right. I paid my business partner equivalent of his total investment in dividend payment on the 3rd year. So you must also know that what you're going to do has a problem and how long it's going to take you. Which meant all of us have to be disciplined. We will drink Gary. But at the end of the 3rd year, would we all start smiling? And that was how we took over. And really, it wasn't a case of taking over because I wanted to join the family business. Circumstances
made you do
of
it.
My own credit to him forced my hand. But it was a good thing.
You acted in enlightened self-interest.
Yes.
Good. Actually, you've transformed the family business. And are there examples in Nigeria or outside of Nigeria that you can cite as success stories in terms of transformation?
Any? One is my dear friend, my brother, Biggie, Salim. We talk a lot. And we interact. And for me, and I've met a few. So I actually tasked myself to encourage 2nd generation now. And I had one 2nd generation, I won't mention his name because some of you might know his father, know him automatically. Who came to buy cable one day, sat in front of me and was talking and just blurted out and said, how did you survive with your father? And he was only there for 1 year and was already complaining. And by the time I finished, he said, I made a mistake. That car I was insisting on, I shouldn't have. Said, now I see my 4 years after, the business now had grown massively. Because what tends to happen with the patriots and the matrons is that we look at them like fathers and mothers, but they're not when you come to their business. That's what they used to send you to school. That's what they used to send your siblings to school. That is what they're using to take care of your mother. If you get it wrong, they cannot take you to court the way they'll take their employees. So they are already afraid. So it is now our responsibility to take that fear down. So it's not, we get into it, and I see a lot of 2nd generation get into it feeling entitled. That is my father, he can't complain. Whatever I do, why should he? You have to earn it. And I had to earn it. And by the time I explained to the guy what it took to earn it, he understood the mistake he made by telling his father, who told him, buy a pickup. Because where you are working needs a pickup. No, he said he wanted a Jeep. He didn't understand. And he said the reaction of the man changed. He bought the Jeep, but the man now started being cautious. Now, so you might, the advice, the direction, I'm very bullish. Oh, God, I literally bully my way into every investment I did without getting my teetering on the tail end. I was saying that you are too cautious. But when you look at it, I'm not tilting the business into disrepute. Neither are you. Give a good example. Most parents of our own generation use their businesses to pay all of us to go to school. I didn't pay school fees, so I won't. And it did. And when I came in, the first thing was when my chairman gives a yellow memo. No, it's not for small money. Okay. If he gives a white memo, it's for small money. But if he gives a yellow memo, you know walawa. Okay. So my first yellow memo that I got from him, I just looked at him and said, Chairman, with all due respect, you can't take this money today. I don't have the cash flow. But give me 14 days. In 14 days, you won't call me. I'll give you your money. And in 10 days, yes, I paid for the fees. Okay. Now, what I wanted us to point out there was that I had seen when working with him during my younger days. Yes. Because the accounting department, finance, and audit were on the same floor with him. Whenever he has issues with any of my siblings or anybody, you just hear him shout the treasurer's name. And he shouts it from the office that someone doesn't want to give him what he wants. And as those ones answered him, they will end up with their fight. Okay. I didn't need that. Okay. So, because I had studied that working under, I knew what he wants, when he wants it, yes, but it's not when he wants it. It's control that I needed to have. So what I needed was for him to understand the cash flow must work, not his timing. Yeah. But I won't default. So first time it happened, thank God, no more. All these children I graduated years ago, so that's out of my books. And second time, yes, he asked. Do you know the third time he said, MD, at your time? Because now you did not fail each occasion. When you made a promise. Ever since then, I met him as the only A signatory. I banned him from signing a check. He cannot sign a check. You banned your father? I banned him. I told him, and you are still his son. The only A signatory. You can't sign. Okay. All of us here, you need 2 signatures, Abi. I don't care if it's in your name. You must not sign. If I'm not on seat, you better call me to sign. In front of him, if they even ask, the accountant will come back to me and ask. Chairman said, we're in the same office. They'll ask me before he can do it. Now, why I was able to get that control was that I broke down his fear that the business is growing. It is to grow before our satisfaction. Not it to grow at the expense of your satisfaction. Okay. Now, you've talked about your dad being on the same floor with the treasurer. And so some of those people saw you as a child. And they may have had challenges having you as their new boss. I've seen that play out in a few family business that are who were answering your father. Or for instance, your father's driver ends up being your driver. Or your father's accountant or any of those persons. They literally used to maybe take you to school or come to pick you from school when your dad is not able to. How did you manage those kind of people when you took over? And what is the process now with your workforce in this transformation journey? I think for me, we were brought up in a way different from, yes, my father is the real grass to grace story. I'm not. Okay. By the time I was born, he had built a house on an acre of land in Edukweju. So I, as my senior sister would say, you people were drinking SMA gold. She drank her come. I say, it's not my fault. It's my time. Right. But nevertheless, he never showed us life that it was easy. And we were never treated as if the money is unlimited. Okay. And one thing he made a key criteria is that you must humble yourself in front of everybody. Whether it's your workforce. We never called our own drivers by name. We never allowed. I never sat behind my car. Even my driver would slap me forward if I tried to. So if I want to try that stunt, I will have begged the guy, okay, I want to post small. But that's how we grew up. Okay. So humility was natural. Okay. So when those guys got to that stage where you are now their boss, And I see all of them say empty, empty. Yes, I am. But doesn't mean that I must demeaning them.
Yeah.
You must not change your attitude to them.
Okay.
And I still take care of them the same way, but they're not working. Some of them don't work directly with me. Some of them did. And the first rule book is, for me, is humility doesn't take anything from your blood. It doesn't take any blood from you. Humbling yourself in front of your workers doesn't mean that you're not the boss. It just means you're giving them enough respect of whatever they do. And taking the team in, plus the older guys, and building a new team. And we had to start from scratch because, as I said, I took over a negative balance sheet. The business was dead. So I had to start rebuilding a whole new team, building departments, building everything, and building structures. But it meant the older guys, and in those days, we used to have meetings with chairman every week. After a point at Matori, I'll go from Ikoton, go and do Matori meeting. The more successful we get, I was able to tilt the meeting a bit. We now move to monthly meeting, quarterly meeting, 1 year meeting. Why? Because what I did was, I literally created the whole structure they had in their headquarters in here, every department. So there was no need to go to the head office anymore. And we had our own accounting department, we had our own HR, we had everything in-house at Ikoton. And we built the business on that model. And he realized it was working better than we come and be doing meeting in Matori.
Okay.
So the concept of succession planning, the concept of those that have worked with him, it was easy because I continued what he did for them.
Okay.
I didn't change it.
For example?
For example, it was common for, my father comes from a generation, or he is a big believer in education.
Okay.
Scholarships. I can't count how many people in his life he has sent to school. It's just, numbers are not. It's something you have to be, you want to emulate, if you say. And what he did was, it started from those working for him. I realized that people work for my dad for 30 years, 35 years. They literally started their life and ended it with it. But in between their journey, he made sure that everybody built a house. He made sure that everybody's child went to school. He was more of a boss, but he was more like a father to them. And they all, their children, even those that passed on, he made sure that they all finished well. And I love that. And so, for me, I continued. Even at our workplace, for me, I get involved. Yes, the numbers are a lot bigger now. Yes. But one of the key things I set up, I said, look, set up a foundation. First rule book is, how many people here can afford to send their kids to school? Can I not take it on? Because it helps when you actually find out that people have done that in their time, taking their time to understand their workforce, and actually associated their workforce by creating loyalty from being in their lives. And not because it's imposing in their lives, it's giving them opportunities to ease their growth. And it made me redefine a lot of things, especially when I'm for workforces. I don't believe in salaries. I've never been. Okay. Anybody working for you that is working for a salary, something's wrong.
Interesting.
I don't believe in it. I've never employed anybody in my life in Nigeria in 21 years with an offer letter on the table. I've never given one.
So how do you go about that?
I've never given one. And people are, how do you get it? I said, I'll sit you down. If I'm 100% sure you're the person for me, I will sell you my next 5 years and 10-year vision. If you understand it, you go and resign. And all of them do. And I have not given you an offer letter. And I said, what day are you starting? If both of us see each other on that day, I shake your hand. Welcome to the club.
Okay.
And that has been the journey. And all of them have stayed. And do you know what the challenge is for me? Is that you've proven to me that you're collecting the same salary. And you're challenging me. Okay. That in the next 2 years, I must have improved your life. In the next 5 years, I must break all the barriers of everywhere you thought you would be. So we sell ourselves the same vision.
Okay.
When you're coming to us, you're not coming to come and be employed. You're coming to be a stakeholder.
Yeah.
which means I must grow your life faster than what you thought you would have achieved. Now, if I did not achieve it, I give you a clause, and I tell them, oh, if in year 2 you are not seeing it, resign, I will pray with you, you can leave. If in year 5,
yes,
I have not done it at all,
yeah,
I will compensate you and you can leave. I have not had one person ask for it in 20 years.
Okay, interesting. Can I come and work for you? All right. Sustainability is a big issue in business today. Tangible and intangible sustainability. There's the environmental aspect and there are several other aspects. What efforts are you making in that regard?
I think it's very key that we look at both the ESG of every business. And for us, look, we stand out when we talk about it and when we actually do it. For me, what we're selling is a business that really must stand out. If you come to us, I'm 100% sure you can't walk into my factory and I'll lose the business. You know, as one person, one guy from Benin Republic walked in some years ago and said, George, in his crude French English, you come here, you drop money. Because he couldn't believe what he saw. He said, you can't see this anywhere. Not even in Europe or anywhere. And that is the way we look at it. Now, so when you want to build something like that, you have to look at all the environmental factors and the sustainability factors. You must be able to not say you're generating waste that is literally going to kill people. Okay. My factory is in Shagamu, I'm from Shagamu. I really cannot be party to that. Okay. So you're asking people, we buy machines that will create filtration, that will create take out anything. Yeah. Now, we have a new factory that we're just doing that we spent $200,000 on just the environmental safety factor. Why? Because the effluence from one of the plant, it's actually, you have to put in charcoal inside it. When you put in charcoal or wood, you're going to get carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide and carbon fume. And so we have an effluent that actually collects it, and what you get is water vapor in white, and it collects all the carbon out of it. And I remember when we were buying the machine, the guy said, aren't you African? Why do you need this one? You can do without it. I said, please. What we sell is different. What our brand sells stands out. That $200,000 for me is more important than the rest of the project, because I want anybody coming from outside Nigeria or inside Nigeria to see that we have thought it through, and we have thought of the environmental factor, and we've taken cognizance of that, and we have spent on safety. It brings you back to even working experience and sustaining those working experience. I've been to a factory. We didn't start big, so I won't say I was doing ECG on day one. Okay. So I'm not, I raise my hands up. And when we're at Ikoton, you can look at, I had machines, I had 120 workers at its peak. And they were running 24 hours, and they were tired, sincerely. It's heartbreaking. I don't know how to do that. People were tired. Your first aid kit wasn't first aid. You're putting amala, alabubu, inside first aid kit. You had turned yourself to the clinic because people were tired. And when we're doing, it was a learning curve for me because I didn't know about the machine, but I spent time understanding the factory, understanding the machinery and the engineering, first and foremost. So when we were going to Aripo, and I said, this is the next step. At that time, we had bought over the company. I said, now, this is the next step. You were not going to do it the way we were doing it, because that's what I inherited from your Indian guy, and I don't like it. I was more concerned about how people come to work and how they feel when they come to work. So we started paying for machines that had more handling and lifting, made the cost go up. But it meant I wanted to try and reduce the workforce. I had a clinic. I put a doctor there. I was that worried because of the Alabuku and the Amala issue. Okay. The new factory, by the time we started, after 2-3 months, we had to tell the doctor, sorry, you need to go. Because nobody came to see the doctor. They only came for first aid issues. And it shows that the more you automate,
Okay.
it's costly. The more you retain the employees, and the more they actually enjoy coming to work. And those are sustainable things you must think well ahead.
Yeah.
And the more efficient we got, the more we were actually able to cover our costs better. And the viewpoint is, I need to tell everybody this. Labor is not cheap in Nigeria.
Say that again?
Labor is not cheap. I say that and people look at me, how much are you paying as salary? I say labor is not cheap. Now let me explain that. The assumption that you're paying someone today, let's take this terrible minimum wage that doesn't exist. Me, I don't pay minimum wage, I've changed that. I'll call it, so that 30,000 is rubbish anyway. But let's call it a living wage today, should not be less than 60K. So that's where my own position is at. That's where Coleman is. And that is for a trainee, not my full-time staff. So now, when I look at that, at 60K, which is even better than the 30K rubbish they're doing, and you're looking at that, and you're looking at the sustainability, that person, if they come to work, transport is about 500 naira to my place and 500 back. In our case, we took that out. We bought 10 buses a month before they took over. 10 51-seater brand new buses. I take transport out of the cost because I saw that subsidy would take transport up and the cost of those buses will go up. So we took a position. And we bought 10 buses in one day. And Larry Shitu people said, you're the first company in the history of 42 years to buy 10 buses. It's only local government and government that buy 10 or 1 or 2. And you people bought 10 in one day. I said, no, I see crisis coming.
I see.
And you need to take the position because you won't sell me that buses at the same price anymore.
Indeed.
And neither would my people be able to come to work. Since I can't change the salary on the day, let me take out the transport cost. And we offer free transport. We did, but we now offered it massively. Now, but this person comes to work. You give them hard labor, they're tired. They make one error. It costs you their salary times 10 years. You cannot deduct it.
You can't.
It's impossible. Now, at their level, they believe they're doing you a favor. So it's either you make their life good or they cost you more scrap than their whole salary put together. So is the labor cheap?
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. It's an investment.
So what you should actually do is invest in making that guy's life as easy as possible that it looks like I'm the one doing you a favor.
Okay.
So I would rather buy a machine for 1.2 million euro that guy will press a button, can walk away, even sleep. And the machine will know when to stop, when to start, when to finish. And that's what we invested in.
All right.
Because of the experience we saw of people carrying, being tired. And it meant we became far more efficient, far more profitable. And then we had to add one thing onto it, and I've been profit sharing for 20 years plus. And the board said, you know what, make your profit sharing real. And put it on the board. 5 years ago, we did PAT. 5% of our PAT goes to our staff, management, and everybody. And some days when you do a PAT share, some people collect 1 year's salary on that day.
Wow.
On PAT day. And on purpose, we don't pay PAT in December because we don't want you to feel like it's that December.
13th month salary, yeah.
Let them collect that one separate. I'll pay you PAT. I'll do an interim around March, and we'll do a full around. So it's sustainability and keeping the people there.
All right. The business is growing, and definitely there are challenges, and there will be challenges. What efforts are you making to manage those challenges that are coming? And the ones that have happened, how did you resolve them? I'm coming to the audience, one question after this, so please get your questions ready. Yeah.
Now, you see, in our businesses, I think for me, sustainability of any business or growth of any business is generated from you thinking long term. You must have a vision, you must be focused on your vision, and you must be disciplined for focus and vision to happen. Most of the businesses in Nigeria are built for a lifestyle, pure and simple. I started a business because I want to maintain a lifestyle. in the head of the person the day they started that business, this business must give me a car a year or give me a house every 10 years. And as long as it achieves that, the rest does not matter. It's not built for legacy. It's most of the time built for lifestyle. If you're building for legacy, you can't be thinking of lifestyle. That's something has to give. Now, in order for us to deal with challenges, and you've had, oh God, I think my worst challenges, I'm being truthful, was 2016 devaluation. In that March of 2016, when that central bank governor did that thing, I sat on the Friday with the stakeholders meeting at Broad Street, about 40 of us, and there was our central bank governor going, blowing grammar. And I said to him, please, sir, this devaluation will create a hole in the books of the stakeholders. What are you going to do to actually cushion the hole? He told me liquidity was big. It's not a problem. I asked the question second time. Do you know the thing? He said at a point in time, I was the manager in charge of flour mills. They lost 6 billion during the last, are they not still here? I said, we're in trouble. On that day, he did the devaluation, we lost 5 billion on one time. I didn't even have 7 billion in turnover. And literally, that man literally crippled the business in one day. So policies can challenge you. But that is when your challenge, no, I think up to then I was very bullish and I didn't really think that I could get it wrong. And on that day, and please take it as a CEO, we can get it wrong also. The question is, what did you do when you got it wrong? And we got it wrong. And we estimated a 40 naira devaluation, it turned to 200 naira or 150, and we lost a fortune. Now, we didn't divert, but we just needed reinjection. But the banks went into their own problems, everybody took their money away. It took us 2 years to get them to see what we were talking about, and we restructured the whole deal of 7 billion into it, that turned from 5 to 7. And with an injection of 1.5, I cleared off my debt in 3 years and grew the business 500% 3 years after. And it was just simple. Yeah. We just all had to be disciplined. We froze salary. Yeah. Now, this is where it comes into play. If you have been doing it right from day one, I lost no staff that I employed in that methodology. Not one resigned in 4 years, and we froze salary. Now, freezing salary doesn't mean that MD is separate. Yep. Rule books for me is the same as the last person. We would not change salaries for anybody singularly. The day they changed my salary, everybody's salary
is changed.
So it became rule books that we practiced. I'll give you another rule book. You cannot change my car before my manager's car. I practiced that for 16 years. Every manager's car must have changed before any director's car can be changed, including the chairman. He cannot change his car until I've been able to afford to buy every manager the car on the same day. Okay. Which meant that they all need to challenge themselves to pay for that car first. Okay. So when it's my own, the first time I tried it, you need to see the way they were fighting me that how can you still be driving 7-year-old car and all of us are driving brand new? I said, we have to find the money. He said, okay, leave that one, we'll find the money. And they did. And the day I brought in my car 3 months after, if you see prayer session, you'll have thought I had a jackpot. Okay. So it does help when you lead by example, not by the structure of it is my own. So the rule books for me should be different. The rule books for the MD or the director sitting as executive is no different from even the lowest person paid in Coleman. All right. It's the same rule book.
All right. You've conquered Nigeria. You've conquered West Africa. You're going to be conquering South Africa very soon. After conquering Africa, where else?
The world is still a big place.
Indeed. All right, the question is now coming to you. If you have any questions or comments, please raise your hand. Please make your questions questions. Forget about the stories that happened in 1942 when Jesus walked on water. Please keep it to 2 minutes or less. Please tell us your name and your organization. Please stand so that those behind can see you. Please do us the honors. Thank you.
My name is Babajide Benson. Fascinating story. Thank you very much. 2 questions. First of all, where did you get professional support, professional, technical, strategy support, guidance, etc. over the years? Mentoring, how did that work? And then secondly, you described Coleman as a family business. So what are your current views on succession?
Professional help, mentoring, and what are your views on succession? Any other question? Or take? You want to answer this first? Oh, okay, so that you don't forget. All right, we're coming back to you, sir. Quickly.
Okay. Where did I get it? I've never been to any LPS, business school, no.
You went to Salford?
No. I mean after my...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because everybody expects you to start telling them you don't have had one or Yale or Stanford or... I've not. One thing I've been good at is I'm very happy to learn. I sit with a lot of people. And in between those conversations, I like conversations that add value, rather than we just sit down and talk. So in between I build on those knowledge. And as I built on them, I've researched more on those knowledge. And it grew me strategically into being able to understand what makes a business grow. Because if I could just, in my little thinking process, decide that I want to reinvest as much as possible to grow this business. And we literally, for 18 years, put back, retain 95% of our earnings. I do an AGM. We have it every year. It's a family-run business, but it's run by the government. So they come in, they get their dividend payment, all family members that are there, and everybody. And my viewpoint was we needed to build a standard company. But in between having conversations with bankers, strategy people, you learn. And my own world literally was my tutoring center, because, as I said, if you humble yourself, people share. If you don't and you feel cocky, they would not tell you what they do. I'm not cocky, so I'm very good at listening. And in between everybody talking, I literally retain 95% of what everybody has said. I'm very good at that. So I tend to not write that much, but I've learned very quickly. I picked up what you said, and I've done that. Succession planning is key. And all the structures we're doing today, and I've been doing over the years, was purely based on succession planning. I have not done operations in 10 years. What goes in and out of Coleman, I've not signed one way bill, invoice in 10 years. My current CEO is not related to me, and it's literally about how do you plan a business that when you're not there anymore, can it sustain itself, can it survive? That was more important to me than everybody calls MD. You can't call me for anything. If you walk into my office as my manager, you must tell me what you think first. Don't let me give you the answer, because that means I didn't build you. What I did was, I'm running the business single-handedly. I can switch off my phone and put my phone on silent, because the team actually knows what they need to do. And I've passed on my own knowledge to them as best as I can. And they can also improve themselves. So succession planning starts from you creating structure that allows your business to run without you.
Right.
And then take us to the next level, which is what everybody is waiting for. When are we listing? But it's all calm down.
Are you sure you haven't seen my next question? All right. Because I was going to ask that question. Yes, the man with the brown jacket, please can you hand the mic to him with the cap? Please tell us your name and your organization and ask your question.
Hi, good morning, distinguished guest, my colleagues here. My name is Theo John Phillips, CEO Goldfire Nigeria Limited and then Liquid Fire Engineering Services. Thank you for what you've said so far. Sorry, I missed your name, but I'll probably meet you after the events. Coleman, honestly, it's very, very eye-opening for me. I've always thought it was a Lebanese company because we buy a lot of your cables, and I know that we are a signage manufacturing company. We're also civil engineering, so we buy when we do all this branding works, NNPC and all that. You know, we always specify, use Coleman, use Coleman. And I know some of your products are also right now being faked, so you got to be careful. So again, let me acknowledge my colleagues who are here with me. Something that you said, you see, as a Nigerian business, you know, all of you said that we probably belong to the same generation. I'm in a place, we've been running a business since 2001, so this is about 22nd year. And I think my general manager here, AJK, who I met as a copper, but we've been together now for about 18 years, so many of my colleagues here also. But we're in a place now that we're looking at ourselves and we're asking, second generation, none of my children live here or who want to live here, you know? So how do we, at this point, start to build a civil society? Because it goes beyond us. You know, I'll give you a good example. Chicken Republic, when they started, when we opened the first shop at Adeola Deco.
1 minute more.
Sorry, so the vision was that the Nigerian businesses can survive beyond first generation. It's something I believe in. But where myself, yourself, how are we helping? Like Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, what is the policies that we're putting in place to start to engender that transfer of knowledge, succession planning, to help these SMEs to start to grow? Just that.
So the question is, what is MAN doing to help succession planning? Manufacturers Association.
Yes, just those policies in place to start.
Especially because your children are abroad.
Well,
all right.
And I think for most families that have, the biggest problem with the generations today is a lot of us have sent kids abroad. My daughter's graduating this year. But you know one thing, you need to practice. You see, what I've realized is that the ability to get these children to come back starts from the same way my father started. From as little as they were 5, 6, 7, they could understand, I told them what I did. I explained what I do. I tell them, look, I owe you the best education, no money. You need to make it yourself. And the same way my father used to tell me, but I'll keep explaining what I do. I sit them down when I'm doing well. I sit them down when I'm not doing well. When I'm not doing well, they are the best supporters. They'll tell you, Daddy, we can't spend money. Things are tough. Don't buy this one. Now, over the time, as they grew older, they understood where the actual succession or where the plan should be. Both of them, well, you know, we all digitally plan and bond them abroad so that they can have passports different from our own. We are queuing in embassy, they are not. So they have those type of passports. So you would not expect them that they want to come back. My daughter in her first year, after finishing first year, said to me, said, Daddy, I don't know why anybody wants to stay here. I said, why? He said, all you do here is pay bills until you die. He said, but in Nigeria, it seems all of you work to own. He said, me, I want to come and work to own. I don't want to come and pay bills till I die. He said, so please, guaranteed me, the day I finish, I'm coming home. So I'll go and find something I'm going to do when I come home. So I'm not begging her to come. They cannot even stay there. They don't even want to stay there. If I tell them they shouldn't come home any year, it's like that's the day Dad doesn't love them anymore. So you don't want us to come to Nigeria. So you have to actually start from as little as they can be to start understanding your business or the life of business. Then secondly, we make one assumption that education is the solution to everything. It is, but what is education? Is it about your child coming up with a first class or being smart enough with a third class to outsmart every first class person? For me, I'll take the second. I need that child to be smart. Street smart, wise enough to understand, to see beyond the book and make it possible. And that you can only do when that child, you see it. Most of us see those children doing it when they are young, but we discourage it. I never did. Because I grew well because I was trading. By the time I was 16, I was using my father's warehouse for trading. And he never questioned me where I got the money. Nobody came to him that I stole anything. The day I went to university, he paid the person of 120,000 for Lake Country that I had in his warehouse. He said, oh boy, you are going to school. Go and give that woman back her money. Tell her you are not trading again. Not that I stopped. Now, so he unconsciously never stopped me trying myself out. My son and my children, I never stopped them. So when one of them said he went to school, he's trading something that he had. The mother said, how can he be trading? He started off trading his meat. He doesn't like meat. He traded it off. So my wife called me. I said, let that boy. He's using his head. He's trading his meat. He's not giving it away. He's an entrepreneur already. He's seen an opportunity. He's grabbed it. The next thing, you bring hamper. The boy traded the whole hamper. I said, now he's... By the time he was finishing school, he was doing stocks and shares. So today, he has his own business. And he's installed in university. So you've already started practicing entrepreneurship before he got there. And that was me. So I never waited. We need to encourage these children. When you see them, stop discouraging them. Let them practice it. So by the time they are coming out, they've understood how to hold money that they made. By the time my son was finishing secondary school, he tells the mother, I don't need allowance, I'm poor. You actually tell her, don't worry, I have enough from what I have sold. Now, it is with his friends he was doing it. Now they have a collective of friends between America and Canada that they have actually a trade and business group. And some of us have become investors. I pay back. I think the first year I invested in him, I said, you pay me my money, even if you are crying, me, I'll collect my money. And the business went well, then went pear-shaped. He paid me my own, or crying. Yeah, my dad. I said, this is business. It's not personal.
This is business.
It's not. Even if it's small amount, I could write it off. But I'll be teaching him the wrong thing. Even if you fail, one thing I always tell people, this is the only country we have where integrity is bigger than the land and building you own. Your integrity is literally worth 100 times the land and building. If I know my dear brother here, and for the first time I went to him, I borrowed 100K. And the day he gave me 100K, he told me, bring it back home. And you took that money back. You've just de-risked yourself. The next time you go back for 200K, he'll give you willingly, because he knows you will not stress him. But when I mentor people, I tell them, please don't give people stories. We're too fond of stories. We take money, we take goods, we take credit. But we go there and start telling stories of everything that happened in our life, why we're not going to pay. I say, you've just made that person not want to give you again. We are a country that literally believes that if you pay me back, I will literally vouch for you. So things like that, we plan our succession planning with children understanding it as early as possible. What it is to be an entrepreneur, what it is to take a risk, what it is to handle money. Okay. And secondly, we also need to use our integrity. When we are small, it's not the bank that will give you money. It's the guy that you've gone to trade with that will give you credit. And one of my mentees, when we were practicing it, I told him, I said, all of you three, go back. If you've not taken credit before, I want you to take credit at all costs. Everything you do, just tell that person that is supplying you, they must give you credit. But please do me a favor. Every credit you take, the day you agree, just pay back. No story, just go there. By the time we had the next session, 6 weeks after, one of them used it well. He does paint. He's now quite big now. I have the LCCI program, and one of the mentees. It's normally a 3-month program, but I took them for 5 years. And they've all grown well. But I gave them one condition. If you grow well, you do what I've done with you for another set of people. So I always take my own LCCI for about 5 years. So, and this guy came back, after 3 weeks, he said, sir, this is wonderful. I said, why? He said the same people that have been selling him paint material on week 3 called him back and said, Mr. Raphael, the manager has noticed that you are paying on time. And your 7 days, we want to turn it to 30 days. And we want to double the money. Because we're seeing you are paying on time.
Integrity.
No story. And I asked them, I said, did double the money has doubled what? His working capital. Did he have it before? No. Did they charge you interest for it? No. Are you not making a profit on the extra money? Yes. I said, that is how you're building your business.
Okay. Integrity is worth more than land and the building. Regardless of where the land is, Banana Island or Ikoton.
With all due respect to how much assets I've built, I've not been to a bank in 10 years.
Okay.
Don't even know my branches anymore. I sell integrity. If I tell you I'm going to take 100 billion from you, you're going to give it anyway. Because my antecedent says this man doesn't fail on his integrity. And do you know how I built integrity? From a business that had a negative balance sheet, I took my checkbook to work, my own personal. I took it to work every day. The day that company cannot pay, my accountant knows the rule book. They are knowing. Take my checkbook, pay. We told them to come on this day. They must be paid. So my checkbook was a backup for my integrity because I did the deal. I didn't look at it that it was Coleman doing the deal. I told us to do that deal. And that credit must not fail. And over the years, I backed them up until the day I realized, okay, you can't carry a checkbook too. They are surviving on their own now. And the integrity starts from us that run the business, own the business, or vouching for the business.
Okay.
We must do that.
You must be the poster boy of integrity. Question? There's one here and there's one there. Okay, so yes, go ahead.
I think you may understand. Okay. Good morning.
Afternoon, quickly.
Oh, it's morning.
Still morning. Sorry, my watch is fast.
Good morning. My name is Taya Dedugbe. I'm the founder of Frandays Forum, Frandays Franchisers and Distributors. I'm sure you understood why. So my next question would be, how have you been able to build your distributorship base? And also, I would like to know if you still have opportunities for investment, because we have gatherings where we like to connect, franchisors with potential franchises and distributors. So I'd like to know how you've been able to build your distributorship base, and also how perhaps we could work with you on some of the opportunities available. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take one more question so that he can answer both together. Lady and then the man. So let's take the lady now, and then we'll come back to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the insights, and congratulations so far for the growth. And my question is regarding the foundation. You mentioned something about foundation when you're actually giving out your presentation. You said you're able to set up foundation to be able to take care of the needs of the staffs, mostly those maybe their kids wanting to go to the university. So now, I want to understand, what is the sustainability plan for the foundation? How have you been able to run that so far to be able to keep that running?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, so I'll take the first question.
Yeah.
Then you take
Franchising.
The
Yeah. Franchising and distribution.
Franchising and distributorship. Now, you must be strategic with your distributorship and with your product. So it depends on what type of product you have, what's your capacity. Now, a simple rule book for me in distributorship: don't grow beyond your capacity of your business. If your business says your working capital can only deal with Lagos, why do you want to do Lagos, Abuja, Onitsha? What you're doing, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's a silly way. Because someone is in Abuja, you need to also appear in Abuja. It's wrong. So we grew the distributorship first from our key area, Lagos. When I came in, they had Abuja. I closed it in 6 months. Chairman was like, why? Said everybody must be in Abuja. I said, I can't even sell enough to Lagos. You want to have Abuja? I said, if you need Abuja, go and pay for Abuja. I'm not paying for it. I closed it down. I said, the day I go to Abuja, Abuja would know I have arrived. And it took us 8-9 years to go back to Abuja. But believe me, the day we entered Abuja, they knew we arrived. And today, we own the northern market. So it's not about appearance. Grow your business, own a share of whatever your captive area is first, and stay there. Take it out. So that when you're going to the next one, you build capacity for the next and holding the current one. So if you're saying you need to sell maybe 100 products every day, and it's already bought out in Lagos, what are you looking for somewhere else? No, don't let anybody tell you to jump. You're not ready for it. Because if you jump, someone else will take the gap. You have 100 and you moved 40 somewhere. You created a gap. And what happens? Your competitors take the gap. Before you come back and realize that you are robbing Peter to pay Paul, you've lost your total market. The biggest error that we make in marketing and distribution is really to actually assume that our name is so big that we need to be everywhere so quickly. No. Your competitor's position. You see, one thing people would look at in a SWOT analysis, yeah, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and trends. For me, I only look at the weakness. Don't bother about the other one. It's too easy to know. You know why? The weakness of your competitor, if you overcome it, they cannot overcome it that quickly either. So take, for instance, the weaknesses of my own competitors was capacity. If you go to a cable company in those days, they'll place an order, they'll tell you pay the money, wait for 2 months. It was a usual practice for those that have been by, and people happily waited. Now, what if I build capacity and I turn 2 months into 3 weeks? Do you think you can overnight build the capacity to compete with? So, look at the weakness. Focus on your weakness of the competitor and target taking it out. It becomes your strength. But they cannot take you out that quickly either. So you take your position on distributorship, own it, then move next. But only move when you build capacity to put a new market up. Don't use what you have to take on a new market. You will fail eventually.
All right.
So then in terms of foundation, what we've done is that we're not only doing that as a rule book anyway. We're building a physiotherapy center at Osut today to cater for physiotherapy of those using it at Shagamu. We're doing schools. We're rebuilding schools around our area. And also at the same time doing, so but what we do is we take a share of our profitability and put it into our foundation. And that is how we grow sustainability of that. And that's how we guarantee it. Because it's something we want to do for the long term. So particular share of the profit goes into the foundation and that grows it. And that puts it back into our CSR. And now, I didn't say I was doing that size at the beginning. No. Don't go and start shouting CSR when you're still a micro, small business.
That's
right. Please sustain your business, get it growing.
Yes.
When it's at the level it can, you know. In your little way, you can be doing it, but when it's big enough to sustain a foundation, at that point, do it. Don't put that as your first choice.
Okay. Final question from the person at the far end. Oh, there, down 2 hands. Okay. Oh. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Onafowokan, thank you so much for your profound presentation. My name is Ethel Sojiadiemi. I work with First Bank. Interestingly, I just took over the relationship management of this account. So we're on a tour on Monday of the factories in Shagamu and Arekbo. Trust me when I say that place is impressive. It's massive. Very well done, Mr. Onafowokan. My question is a very simple one. I want to know of the list of things that keep you awake at night. What tops it? especially because of the climate where you operate your business. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please pass the microphone to my left, the far end, the man in the blue cap and the lady behind him, so that we round up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leonard Inobakare. I am the Managing Director of Elite Branding Limited. Elite Branding Limited, we are a 360 advertisement agency here in Lagos. We deal on below and above the line billboards, TV advertisement, and radio.
You will pay for that commercial. You were meant to ask a question, but go ahead.
So I'm a very big fan of him. I've read a few things about him. So I just have a few questions to ask.
We'll take only two.
Okay, one of my questions is how do you stay up to date with the latest technology advancement in your industry?
One.
Then two, how do you describe the effects of advertisement, media planning to grow your brand in your industry?
Which kind wire you go use to light up your house? Coleman quality cable, Coleman quality. COLEMAN quality Coleman durable banana now Coleman midi baba. What else you want to hear? I've answered the second question. Final question, please, from the lady behind. There was a hand up. Okay.
Yes. Good morning.
Please stand.
I'm standing here right now.
Oh, I thought it was on that side. Sorry.
Inspiring story, by the way, sir. And my question is easy. My name is Toju Dotye. I work with Alukwano Yebode. And my experience with successful brands doing successful in sub-Saharan Africa is that they face the challenge of counterfeiting. So I wanted to know if you've had that experience and how you've been able to navigate that, challenge.
All right, thank you. So first question, the things that keep you awake at night, which one tops them? And that's your banker asking so that they can give you more money. I guess? All right, go ahead.
Which one tops them? I think for me, what tops them is adding blessings to people, improving lives. And that, to me, is fulfillment. Which basically means for every day do I wake up and look at my staff, look at everybody around me. As I grow, have they grown? If they have not, I will not be able to see. So sustainability of lives and adding value to their life has been what really keeps me pushing the limit of where the business would go. And being able to add value to all those that believe in your vision, your strategy, and stayed in it, toughed it out with you, good or bad times. And most importantly, for me, is never forget your yesterdays. Never do. Because it's what makes your tomorrow. It's those great people that were behind you in your tough times yesterday that made your today good. So I keep awake trying to make their life better.
Okay.
And that helps me.
All right. How do you keep abreast of technological developments in your industry?
I'm a technology person. I believe technology drives everything you do. Only problem with technology is never cheap. The more highly automated you do, the more expensive those machines get. But the more they get, the more efficient you get. The better Q&A, QA/QC you're having real time online on your machine rather than having human factor failures. And so I've gone the route of the cheap and cheerful, labor-intensive, human errors with the eye, and I've changed over the last 15 years to highly efficient. I don't care really on price, on efficiency, or technology, and that's what we apply today.
What is the place of advertising in your business, or how do you see the impact of advertising or marketing communications altogether?
I'm a marketing person also,
okay.
So I've been on the floor, I've been on the field, and marketing and brand awareness is key to everything you do. I think the biggest worry for most businesses is how do you allocate money to marketing? Because to them, everybody looks at it as a cost center.
Indeed.
This thing is just going to draw money.
Yeah.
Are you so sure it's going to bring back money? But look, marketing is about sampling. Just take it that way. You know, I've done billboards, I've done radio, I've done TV. I've done everything before I found the one that really worked.
And which is that?
The TV.
Okay. And how did you, let me just add to this question, how did you decide on AY as brand ambassador?
Coincidentally, I've been going to AY's show years before we actually did do that. And I've been attending the shows. And one thing that stood out for me, every time those comedians sang a song about one old advert, close song, Limca, all you need is a dream, Limca. It's as if that thing never left people's head. Why can't you find, if you get it right, and that was what really I was trying to do when we did the jingle. Well, people could not understand why are you dancing in an engineering thing. I said, it wasn't the engineering. I wanted people to remember the name and the song. So I literally designed it. I literally vetted it. The song, it took took me 2 years to get the song right. Especially the last one I ran too long, I got it, because it was a big of a difficulty to find the song. And you know, in marketing is a bit different. What you're looking for after a while is retention of memory. So unconsciously, if you look at the advert, it repeats the Coleman so many times, you will never forget it. But you are dancing to it, but you are saying Coleman, 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 Coleman. So after a while, everywhere you just be repeating it, Coleman in your head. So I'm in a lucky position that I've opened my mind to knowledge. So I know engineering, I know marketing, I know accounting, because I've opened my mind to it. I've been designing all my factories for the last 16 years on my own. So every toolbox inside there, I can tell you what type of motor, variable drive that goes into it. Even the design factor of the factory, I can tell you. Because I just got interested in having knowledge of that area. So when I talk engineering, as one of my current past presidents said, George, you know you are talking this engineering. You are not, who gave you current number? I said, you give me fellow, whether you like it or not. Because I'm the only guy here that is an accountant designing factories for you.
Okay.
And all of you are buying. So it helps that we're able to understand our market and able to put it into a brand that literally is understood. And at the beginning, the engineers fought me for that advert. One called me one day and said, you are demeaning engineering. At the beginning. He said, how can you turn engineering to a dancing, are we Alaba people? Guess what, 2 years after that first advert, the man called me back and said, you are doing well. That advert, I like it. Now, it's the perception that I was trying to change. And it worked. And we've kept the same tune, but the series is just changing little by little. But the last one was a difficult one. As you said, people can sing it from the back of their. We get protests. Can you still bring it back? I said, how long can you run one advert for? It's run for 6 years. People still want you to put it back. But we're trying to get this new one for everybody to like it a bit, and it's getting there little by little.
All right. The final question from Alukwani, but it was also about branding. I think.
No, it wasn't branding.
Brands that have done something. That was
the faking and adulteration.
Okay. All right.
That is a big problem in Nigeria. You know, we tend to kill brands in Nigeria by what happens with faking and adulteration. We are in an industry where every Nigerian is proud to say, I'd rather buy a made in Nigeria before even considering anything else. So we've done something well. But the problem is that the adulteration is bad. And we've fought it with government agencies, SON, they've done their best. But what I realize is that nobody adulterating your cable is doing it for low margin. Any criminal is looking for the bigger margin. And what we did technically about 5-6 years ago is to drop the prices to the level whereby the margin is not really there anymore for you to make it. Up till we did that in 2018, cable to me used to be too pricey. And we drove the price down, and it's helped. And we've managed to keep the prices low. It's reduced the adulteration massively. It's increased our volumes massively. And we're still fighting it toe to toe. But we're planning our strategy towards 1 or 2 last stages, of which we believe we can take it out almost 90%. And which we expect to be going into Q2 of this year to have been able to implement it. And that will reduce that to almost a barest minimum. Because everybody wants a good brand. We sell good quality name and a good brand. But we don't want people buying substandard using. And what they just do is that they just take off your wrapper. They sell it within some certain market. I don't want to demarket some markets. And what they do is that they remove from other people's cheaper brands or substandard, remove the packaging, print another package that they are selling in the market and the label, and sell to unscrupulous. Most of the people buying it actually know what they're buying. But unfortunately, the people they're selling it to, you're doing a project and someone says you need 50 cores of cable. All you're doing is counting the 50 cores. You didn't really look, was the brand on the cable? Because we emboss our brand on it. People don't check simple things like that. Randomly just check it. And we've had to rechange the packaging again now recently. And just to try and, because it took them 3 years to copy our packaging very well. And now they've copied it well, we've changed it. So, and we know this one is going to take them 5 years to get it. So look out for the new packaging, look out for the new labels, and that will keep things abreast. So we have to keep evolving. It's unfortunate it happens, but we're working towards making sure it's minimized.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the much that we can take. Some of my takeaways, and I hope that some of you also took your notes. It says you cannot break barriers the easy way, so please take note of that. You can be big, you can be bullish, but remain humble, don't be cocky. And then vision and discipline are very important. And the very first one, and quote of the day, is status does not come when you don't have money. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Babajide Benson.
May we give a very, very, very enlightening session anchor, Babajide Benson, and our guest speaker, another resounding round of applause, please. We had one hell of a time during the fireside chat and the Q&A session. That was very, very enlightening and insightful. We're almost at the home run. We're almost finishing in the next 6 minutes at the latest. I have the singular honor to invite Mr. President, Chairman of Council, Mr. Ray Artile, FRPA, to come and do the honors to both the guest speaker and the moderator. George Onafowokan, could you just come and receive our thanks from the chamber? Mr. President.
Thank you. I'm sure we would have wanted this to continue because it was served fresh with genuineness. It was coming deep from the heart, and I know we are going to have more sessions with you as time goes by. On behalf of our chamber, a very grateful chamber, and all who participated today, we want to thank you for coming. This is a token of our appreciation to you, and it will always be our pleasure to have you. Yes, to the anchor man, the moderator, the man who put it all together. He really did a yeoman's job and kept to time. I'm sure that all of us present here would like him to do this again for us when next we invite another special guest. Thank you very much.
would like Mr. President to stay behind. Mr. Onafowokan and Mr. Benson should come up. Our Deputy President, Akin Oshitoki, please join them for the photo ops. George. We'll do this next. Our sponsors will join them after this picture. Burger Paint, Right Foods, Page Financials, and Coleman. I think George was just standing for Coleman, so he doesn't need to move again. Members of ESCO that are here, could you join this picture too? Mr. President, please. ESCO and Council. DG, could you join us too? May we have members of the Programs Committee, Vice Chairman, Mrs. Biroba, join us. Mr. President, you've stood enough. Could you just go and have your seat? Thank you. May I invite, the last item on the agenda is for vote of thanks, which will be given by my Vice Chair, the Vice Chairman of the Programs Committee, Mrs. Adenike Biroba. Please come up.
Thank you.
May we have a round of applause for her?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sure we have all had a very enlightening morning stroke afternoon, and we've definitely taken home a lot of cues from Mr. Onafowokan. Thank you so much, Mr. Onafowokan. Mr. George. On behalf of the chamber, I would like to thank the speaker here, Mr. George Onafowokan, our moderator, Mr. Babajide Benson, patrons, and council members. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Coleman Wire and Cables, Burger Paints, and Veritas. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you as well. Members of the Programs Committee and the NBCC headquarters, we thank you all for this special event. Please take note of the following upcoming events at the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. The NBCC Trade Seminar is scheduled to hold on Tuesday, February 2024. The theme is Navigating Trade Regulations and Compliance between Nigeria and the UK. Please register with the Chamber via our website or any of our social media handles. Another upcoming event is the 2024 Trade Mission to the UK, London. This is taking place in May. Please note that. The NBCC Health Walk is scheduled for March 2nd, 2024, and the theme is Healthy Strides for Business Wellness. We also have coming very shortly the NBCC International Women's Day, which will hold from March 6th, from March 6th and 7th, 2024. The theme is Invest in Women and Accelerate Progress. The NBCC Members Evening Induction Ceremony is taking place and is scheduled for March 21st, 2024. March 21st, 2024. Please note that the plaza is open with state-of-art facilities for you to explore your corporate events, trainings, seminars, and meetings at a very affordable rate. You can reach out to the Chamber's headquarters members to make inquiries and reservations. Please note, if you are interested in becoming a member of the Chambers, please visit our website, www.nbc.org.ng, or meet with the membership committee at the registration desk there. Finally, please follow us on our social media handles, which we all have on our website as well. Thank you very much. Have a lovely afternoon.